Thanks for tuning NeptuneKnives. Someone needs to say it. The titanium frame locks are a bit of a compromise. I've tested a lot of titanium frame locks, especially higher end ones, and we've seen how they perform when I do this test. Because if you think about it, the key features of titanium are that it doesn't rust, it's lightweight, and it's also very impact resistant. It's tough, it won't break. But I think in this case, with folding knives, the lightweight aspect is applicable here and beneficial. And also the rust resistance is convenient in an everyday utility folding knife. But the tough aspect really isn't so important because we're not really talking impacts. When you're talking lockup and stuff, we're not really thinking that the lock side is going to shatter or break. But we know that titanium frame locks have some traits to them in terms of how they lock up. And the first one would be perhaps that it sticks, and we kind of know that by now that titanium frame locks tend to stick, and maybe put some graphite to resolve that problem. We also know that they shear, and this is commonly known also now on YouTube, that titanium doesn't have very good wear resistance, very good edge retention, because it's not really hardened to, it can't harden to a typical 60 HRC of like a normal stainless steel. And also because of that, the molecular structure, how, you know, obviously by it being more flexible, it has less edge retention, less, I guess you would say, solidity. So we know that titanium frame locks tend to perform that way. So in this video, I have 3 stainless steel frame locks. Completely different makers, all well within under $50, $30. These are very affordable. This one's particularly interested in me. I saw this in another video, and it looks, you know, it looks to have a lot of Strider-like features, such as you've got the stabilizing disc, you know, you got the beefy pivot, right? We have even the thumb studs serving as a stop pin. So it really kind of mimics a Strider, but it's a stainless steel frame lock. So basically, going into this, I don't have any idea about how the geometry of these knives perform. The bird knife, I've never experimented with bird knives before. This is not like how I was familiar with perhaps Striders or Hinders, because I tested and own multiples of them. So these 3 here, all I can do is just make this video and let's see what happens. But I'm going to do a spine whack test and an overstrike to see how they perform, how they wear, do they fail, and we can kind of see how the lockup is. I can tell you right now though, all of them have side-to-side play. Not a lot, but side movement. And let's try to get on camera here now a good glimpse of the lockup. So I'll start with the straight. You can see here that's the lockup. And it's a pretty consistent lockup. If you open it, let's see. If you open it nice and slow, see here. And let's see if I open it more aggressively. Pretty consistent. Because that's another thing, titanium has more flex, you know, more give. So it again, because it's just not as hard, you know, sometimes titanium locks move in, you know, it's a little bit more inconsistent. The tolerances give a little bit. But the steel one's pretty good. So, let's try this one first. Okay, we'll just do 8. Okay, failed. Failed again. Once it kind of got further in on lockup, I'm hitting it harder now actually. And we can see now where the lockup is. So it definitely traveled in. But it seems to not be moving further from that spot. There's no up and down, it's just the same side to side. But it's kind of settled there. Let's try now let's say it's roughly about 50%. So let's try the overstrike and see how it little bit of wood in there. And it still no up and down. It looks like it's actually on the lock bar. It's actually dented the lock bar in. See if you can see this on camera. Let's see. I don't know if you can tell this on camera. Let's see how good I can get this. You see right there. And if you can catch it right there, you can see it's got a bit of a dent in the lock bar, like right in there. I'll take it open. I'll open it up after this, but the lockup, maybe 55%. Still strong. Let's try some more. And it's still at 55%. It's not bad. It's not completely just falling apart on us and moving all the way in. Actually, at first it failed, and of course there's only one of these, but after that initial failing and it, I don't know, denting kind of and breaking in, you can see it's just a small portion of the blade touching over here. But after that initial damage, it's not failing. There's some lock rock. I can, you can see the lock bar can move. See, it's right there. And then we can kind of move it around. See, I don't know if you can see that. There we go. But it doesn't fail. So that's this one. Now, not thinking much for this one. Obviously, this is not very built tough, I guess you would say. It's very nice with the holes drilled. It's very lightweight, but you can see that large cutout. The other one, the cutout was also on the outside, and you can see how this one is just such a small blade. You know, this is such a random, cheap knife, I guess you would say. And let's just see how it performs. I don't think, in this case, I don't really know. You know, you can't really open this so aggressively, but I don't know. We'll see. Wow, doesn't even fail. And wow, I don't even think this lockup is affected. And that's where we're at right there, okay? So that's about 45%, 50%. Okay, it's moved in with the overstrikes. It's definitely moved now to like 65, perhaps 70. No lock rock. It's locking up at like 60% now. A couple more. No like immediate lock rock. I mean, it's not like if you move it, it'll move the lock bar around. But this actually is pretty reliable. It didn't fail. And the lockup is staying there. think it's at 70%. I think this one's giving a little bit more. I think it's just because it's not as much. I mean, obviously this blade, we're comparing 70% to a very narrow blade, but I mean, pretty good. And last but not least, this bird frame lock. You know, these are all new knives. I mean, you can see the edges don't. These are all new. So this one here is. This one's locking up about 30%. Let's see if it's try to open it a little bit harder. This one has, it's pretty consistent still. Again, still roughly around 30%. And we have, wow, not even movement in. Wow. I feel up and down, but it's not showing, you know, it's like I can feel the lock bar moving, but it's not. I don't think that's the lock. I think that's maybe the tolerances, because regardless, it's still locking up at the same percentage. Let's try the overstrike. And here now we have maybe 35 to 40% now. But still barely. And as we look at it, let's see, it's let's say it's moved in. It's now more like at somewhere closer to 40%. But let's see now. Still looking at, yeah, same. Now, I don't know if you guys remember back some old videos, but some of these knives, within just a couple spine whacks, the lock is given out, bars all the way moved, completely, you know, damaged, all kind of issues. The titanium ones just don't last that long. I really feel that a stainless steel frame lock is, I mean, you can see here, this is a very cheap knife, and it doesn't fail, doesn't break in. I mean, that's purposely trying to damage it, and yet it doesn't just give in, I guess you would say. Even though this one did, it's now at that point where, I mean, it's still a frame lock and that you hold it and help the lock keep engaged. But overall, I don't know, I personally think stainless steel frame locks, I mean, especially considering most of the stainless steel frame locks are on the cheaper knives. But if we look at like the stronger lock knives, like cold steel triad locks, they use stainless steel components, not titanium. So for what it is, I think if you're looking at a tactical knife, I think stainless steel locks are stronger, better, especially to handle the forces. If you're looking for utility, something lightweight, you know, I can understand a fixed blade being made out of titanium because it's lightweight. If you drop it, it's not going to break. But perhaps a folding knife, to me, it makes more sense that the locking components be stainless steel. I can understand maybe the hardware in some places being titanium. I can understand the weight saving, perhaps at least, you know, maybe on the display side, or at that point put G10 or something, because I mean the stainless steel is obviously very rigid, so I think you get better tolerances too. You don't get as much flex. You know, the titanium isn't going to bend anywhere, so when it takes an impact, it's not going to, like, if you flick this open hard, it's not going to allow a little bit of give. So I think stainless steel has its place, and we see them, like I said, mostly on cheaper knives, but it performs really well. And in most cases with these knives, it could just be a little bit of milling, and just drilling out to make them lighter weight. So you can see here when I'm talking about how on the lock bar there's that kind of indentation now. You can see it right there. And but it still held up really well. I think a lot of these newer knives, especially, they add that stainless steel lock bar surface to try to make them last longer, but you know, with the screw right there, I mean, that's just another weak spot and a point of rust. I mean, I think if you're gonna have a frame lock have steel there, it must just be a steel frame lock side. There's nothing, I think, that hard to just mill out skeleton knives and you get pretty strong performance. If you really look at it between these three knives, definitely this one went in the most. This one is really quite impressive, and so was this. You know, these are very affordable and they performed, I mean, I would say on par, if not slightly better, definitely better in some ways to what we saw out of a lot of the titanium frame locks. I mean, you can have a titanium frame lock stick and quickly break in and the whole lock just moves in quickly. You can buy it brand new and just flick it open a couple times. We've seen titanium frame locks, you know, under pressure and hard cutting. When you cut and push down, the blade pushes up and the lock bar moves in all the way, and again causing premature wear on the lock bar. Yet these, because of the, like I said, since it is more rigid, you know, it's more, I say, less chance of, because the steel is more rigid, it's just more secure and also more resistant to the damage. You can see here, I wasn't spine whacking lightly. You can see even the little bits. So definitely interesting. Thank you for watching.